Hey Zeb, that was quick. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Okay, welcome Timothy. I just thought I'd try to do a live stream. I don't do too many of them, but I will probably do more. And one of the reasons I decided to do a live stream is to talk a little bit about Archlabs. Now, I have been playing around with it. Hi, Ben. Hi, Ben. Welcome to the live stream. I've been tweaking Archlabs, and what I decided to do is try to see if I could add the LX panel in place of Tint 2. As you can see, I have the LX panel here now, and it's working pretty well. But it was a multi-step process to get that working. And I thought I'd go through that with you in case there was any interest. Hi, George, Alberto, Fragments of Gaming. Welcome to the live stream. Now, when I tried to add the LX panel, of course, the first step was to install LX panel, which I did. Yeah, hey Ben, I'm running a Hackintosh also on my other computer. Um, so I got two computers to play with. This particular computer actually has a few different a few different distributions. So if I pull up Gparted, I've got multiple SSDs. Hey Steve, how you doing? I've got multiple SSDs. So on this particular Linux drive, I've got Archlabs, which controls the boot process, then Ubuntu, Ubuntu Mate, and Peppermint 8 that I'm trying out. And then I've got a El Capitan, a Mac install on another drive, and then I have Windows, and then a storage drive, but just for data. But what I thought I've been using Archlabs quite a bit lately, and hey George, welcome to the live stream. So I've been using Archlabs quite a bit lately, but I don't really like the Tint 2 panel. So I thought I'd mess around and see if I could get the LX panel going. So the first thing I had to do was install LXPanel. I'm going to check something because I've been having trouble with my update manager. Yeah, you see that? When I reboot Archlabs, this just keeps cycling through the update. And it's crazy. It just keeps going and going and going. And if I if I go into the file manager and file system and Pac-Man. So you see the lock file there? It's basically every time I reboot, it starts this update process that just goes, it's like it's in a loop, and it will not quit until I delete this file. The problem, and then it's okay, but until I reboot. Once I reboot, it keeps going and going and going. So if I let's see, let me see if I can open this. Yeah. So now if I delete this file, it finally stops this, and then I can use Pac-Man again. It's the craziest thing. I've never seen it before. But anyway, so getting back to LXPanel, I had to install LXPanel. Then I had to go in and create a configuration file. This one here. So basically what I did was I used, because what happens is when you install LXPanel, it basically puts a, and you start it, it basically puts a panel at the bottom, or actually it put it on the side. I had to move it. That's completely blank. There is absolutely nothing there. If you right click on it, it doesn't do anything. And then, so what I had to do is I went into, let's see, I went into the LXDE LXPanel wiki, and there it has a default configuration file, which you see right here. So I copied that to the correct location, and then I started tweaking that file. For example, over here where it says menu, it's on the basic configuration it says label. And so I had to create the configuration file, tweak a few lines in it, and then add all of the various things that you see here on the panel. I had to build it from scratch. And then, not only that, but I had to, what you see when you click on logout, in Archlabs, because you're not using LXDE, you have to configure that for an open box logout. So basically, let's see, if I go to panel settings in advanced, I had to use a logout command of open box space dash dash exit, and that makes this function properly. But it was like a multi-step process just getting that working. So I had to use the LXPanel wiki to create my configuration file, and then in order to open it on boot, I had to create a desktop entry, and I'll show you that. So if I go to config and Autostart, this file, this desktop file, LXPanel, if I open that, you can see what I did. So basically it's just starting the panel when I boot. And then you see the little Archlabs logo on the panel, and it's very small, but you can see that it's the Archlabs logo. Well, that's the Archlabs logo. It's the only one I could find. It's very, very large, but it does have a transparent background, so I was able to use that as the icon for the menu button. And then beyond that, all I did was add in all the system tray icons, and right now I've got a Wi-Fi and a couple of Ethernet network, but there, I don't have anything plugged into Ethernet right now. So let's see what the condition of the live stream. So the stream, it seems to be going pretty well. Is anybody having any issues with either the audio or the video? Yeah, Bunsen Labs, which is Debian, this Archlabs is kind of a kind of a shout out, I guess, to Bunsen Labs. It's inspired by Bunsen Labs. Okay, that's good. So, so as you can see, I've got Archlabs. I tweaked the Conky a little bit, and other than that, everything is running fine. I like OpenBox because of the right-click menu. Everything is accessible pretty quickly, and so as you can see now, the only problem is Fienza icons, which actually this appears to be using a. I'm using the Fienza icons in my panel, but this one seems to be a little different. And there are multiple configuration files within Archlabs that can pull in icons. So, for example, if you go to, let's see, Preferences and LX Appearance, you can see Fienza Dark Archlabs. Now, if I change it to Ambiance there, let me see what that does. So there are multiple configuration files, and I'm going to close that out. Um, and they pull in from different locations. It's kind of weird. They've Archlabs has kind of made it a hybrid of sorts, because it's got some elements of LXDE, and it's even got the XFCE4 appearance. So if I go to the icons there, it's got the same dark Archlabs, and so let's see, still the same on the menu. So it's pulling in. I'm gonna have to take a look at the different configuration files to see where it's pulling the icons from for the right-click menu. But for example, if you want to eliminate the icons, you can go to OB menu generator and generate a pipe menu, and then of course all the icons disappear. And you really don't need the icons on the menu, but most of the OpenBox installs that I have found or that I've used have been strictly OpenBox, and so there's there's only one set of configuration files. So Bad Wolf, you left Archlabs this morning and back on Manjaro. Which flavor of Manjaro did you use? I don't have any Manjaro installs at the moment. Although the last one I used that I really liked was the LXDE. Now I was able to eliminate screen tearing on Archlabs by putting a couple of, let's see, where did I do that? Okay, it's in my start menu, and again there are so many fragmented configuration files. But if I go to config and open box and then auto start, I eliminated screen tearing basically by using Compton with this start command and then force full composition on my NVIDIA setting. So these two commands in my auto start, open box auto start, take care of screen tearing. And then as you can see over here, I basically commented out tint 2 so that the tint 2 panel wouldn't start. And then I'm using the other auto start file to auto start the LXPanel. So when this is really a hybrid, it mixes a little bit from various desktop environments. Now, it's kind of a little bit reminiscent of Midfinger's last creation, which I believe there was a little bit of a hybrid going on there also. Timothy, I'm not sure what you're referring to on the menus and stuff. Yeah, Garth, that's correct. Dan Midfinger, yeah, that was kind of a hybrid also. Hey Garth, and let's see. Hey Sudo, what's happening, buddy? I got your Archlabs going here a little bit different. I've got the LXPanel. Just had a meat feast pizza. I'm trying to eat healthy, so um, I've been eating thin crust, very, very thin crust. It's kind of a wheat crust with all kinds of veggies. That's by order of the little woman. Yeah, I tried Mabox Linux, and I really like it, but aesthetically, I prefer Archlabs. I like the look of it, just a personal preference, but they're both really good distributions. Yeah, and Mabox has some of the Manjaro repos and things like that. So that's kind of a weird one, Timothy. So it's not recording the menu when you use a screen recording application. Yeah, yeah, wife is the boss. George, my opinion of Peppermint 8 is pretty high. My only problem, and this affects a lot of distributions, my only problem with Peppermint 8 is I guess I don't understand why they would release Peppermint 8 based on Ubuntu 16.04, because as of 17.04, I don't have any issues with Battle.net, Blizzard. Most of the games run fine on Arch and on Ubuntu-based distros using 17.04. So basically, I try to install the Blizzard app using Wine and Wine Tricks on Peppermint. Now, I already had it going on Ubuntu 17.04 and Ubuntu Mate 17.04. Already had that set up. Very easy. I did a video on it a while back. The procedure is still the same. But on Peppermint 8, because they're still using 16.04, it just doesn't install properly. So I've got all my other games going on Peppermint 8, but not able to get Hearthstone or Diablo or StarCraft, World of Warcraft, because the Blizzard app just won't install. So I really like Peppermint 8, but I think they're doing themselves a little bit of a disservice by having it based on 16.04. And the timing I just don't understand. 17.04 has been out for a month or two. So if you're going to release a new version of Peppermint 8, why not go with the latest Ubuntu stable release? So that I don't quite understand. But other than that, I really like it. So, Bad Wolf, it won't configure your generic headset. It's not a Bluetooth, is it? Zeb, okay, so Peppermint only uses the long-term support. Isn't the 17.04 the latest long-term support release? No, Garth, I didn't change the kernel at all. So I guess I could try updating the kernel. I'm not sure. Okay, so the 17 is not the long-term support. See, I misunderstood and thought the 17.04 was replacing the long-term support 16.04. But so if that's not the case, yeah, I understand why Peppermint is not going with it. Now, Peppermint versus MX16, I would have to go with MX16 if I had to make a choice. They're both really good, but I think MX16 just has so many proprietary enhancements that it would get my vote. And I'm not discounting Peppermint's proprietary enhancements. They do a great job also, but I kind of prefer MX16 over Peppermint. Yeah, MX16 does a terrific job on their distribution. Now, I downloaded the beta, the newest beta, and I had a few issues with it, but nothing major. And so I'm waiting for it to come back. When they finished going through the beta process, I'll download it again and do an install. Yeah, Bad Wolf, Manjaro, I believe, now lists three flagship um, flavors of the Manjaro releases, and I believe it used to be XFCE, KDE, and the net version. Now I think they've got XFCE, KDE, and the GNOME version as their flagships. Now I haven't tried the GNOME version yet, only because I'm not a big GNOME fan, or GNOME, depending on how you pronounce it. That's another one of those that gets pronounced both ways. But I'm not a big fan. I actually prefer Unity, the Unity desktop, over GNOME, and I do wish that someone else would really do a release, for example, Manjaro with Unity. Many years ago, there was a Unity desktop uh, in the Arch repos that you could install, but it no longer functions. It was never, they stopped maintaining it. So I actually found it, but it does not work. Yeah, Zeb, that's the way I pronounce it. I ignore the G. But you'd be surprised how many comments I've received from people telling me that the G has to be pronounced. Gnome. It's so, and it's like mate versus mate. Hey, different strokes. Hi, Ski Meister. Okay, so you're saying that Manjaro likes NVIDIA and Turgos likes ATI. So I don't have any ATI video cards in any of my computers, but I haven't had any big NVIDIA issues with Antergos or Manjaro. Guys, I've been playing uh, Euro Truck and American Truck Simulator, and I don't do any mods. I've just got the plain old versions. But so I heard that there was a multiplayer version, which I guess it's a multiplayer mod, um, and I haven't tried it. But I was on YouTube the other day, and I came across, let's see, let's do American Truck multiplayer. And so I saw the American Truck multiplayer, and it is funny. Here's a crash compilation.
Oh God!
Can you guys see this? So, American Truck multiplayer. These things are funny, I'll tell you. These things are funny. So I'm not sure if you guys can see this. but it's crazy. I mean, and I'm gonna have to try the multiplayer just to see how bad this gets, because if these vehicles are all being controlled by individual, you know, game players, it's got to be absolutely crazy. Unbelievable. Idiots on the road. If you guys haven't tried the American truck or the Euro truck, you should give it a try. It's really, really nice. I mean, it's an easy, relaxing type of game. But this is evidently what's going on with it lately, with the multiplayer. I mean, it's absolutely insane. They just drive like nuts. I was watching this the other day and cracking up. Yeah, that's normal driving in the UK. Unreal. So I've been playing American Truck. I bought my own truck, paid it off. In Euro Truck, I'm still working on paying off my truck. Can't believe the trucks are so expensive. Is English Bob still here? English Bob does a great videos, American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck, and I haven't seen him do any multiplayer yet, but I think he's talked about it, but I haven't seen any multiplayer videos. So I'll have to keep on the lookout for that. Now, interestingly, guys, I did a little bit of a comparison. I've got four Linux distributions installed, as I mentioned. I've got Archlabs, Lubuntu 1704, Ubuntu Mate 1704, and Peppermint 8. And I've got pretty much all the same applications installed. And of the four, the lightest, um, believe it or not, was Lubuntu. As far as CPU usage on boot and memory usage, Lubuntu uh, was the best. The I guess the most resource efficient, followed by Archlabs, then Ubuntu Mate, and then finally Peppermint 8, which is kind of strange, but and they were all very close. But that's the order that they finished in, and uh, I'm sure you guys have this situation, but when not so much the numbers, but the feel, you can kind of feel like when it's fast. Um, and I think it's more of a feel thing than the numbers, because the numbers, they're pretty close to each other, but sometimes you just have a feeling that the distro is super fast. And for me, it's when I open up the calculator or a terminal when you click on the icon and the window opens like instantaneously, that's the sign that I always look for as far as quickness and speed. Um, with Archlabs, it lags a little bit. So if I click it, it takes a half a second before it opens. So, and with Ubuntu, it seems to be a little bit snappier. There's a little bit of a delay when I click on the icon till when the window opens. And the delay is a little bit more noticeable on Archlabs than it is on Ubuntu. And that could be because Archlabs is configured with so many fragments of other uh, desktop environments. And Ubuntu is basically just LXDE. But yeah, Ubuntu 1704 is really one of my favorites because it's just so quick. Yeah, and even though it might be pulling in 2.6 gigabytes of RAM, if it's really more of how it feels. To me, it's more of rather than go by the numbers, I just prefer to go by the feeling, how fast it feels when you click on an icon and how fast that window opens. Yeah, that's why usually I uninstall LibreOffice. I don't usually leave it because I don't use it that much. Let's see. Yes, it's all loaded here. I should get rid of that, but because now that I'm retired, I don't have a whole lot of use for all of those different modules. I just use a spreadsheet and a word processor. Yeah, Garth, on LXQt, as I said before, I like it, but between LXQt and LXDE, I just like the look and feel of LXDE. Although LXQt, when I tried out the Manjaro version, LXQt, uh, it was starting to really grow on me because um, it's 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 very nice. It's very similar to LXDE. Haven't had any issues with it at all. And so if LXDE is going to go away, which I have my doubts because a lot of people prefer LXDE, but if it does go away, I could live with LXQt no problem. Yeah, getting back to the driving on the wrong side of the road. Um, I've been to England a few times, but never rented a car. But I've been to Bermuda a few times, which is also driving on the left. And back when I was in Bermuda, you couldn't rent a car because of the roads are just so small and narrow, and they've got enough automobile congestion just from the residents. So you couldn't rent a car, but I did rent a moped or a little scooter, and I drove around Bermuda driving on the left, and that is a different experience coming from the United States where you're always on the right. And it takes some getting used to and it's a little scary on a scooter when you're up against all of the automobiles. on the roads in Bermuda and you're having to remember to drive on the left. You know, one of the snappiest feeling distributions that I've used lately was Debian testing. That's pretty impressive. Even though Debian doesn't go out of their way to make life easy for their desktop user, uh, Debian testing for me has worked wonderfully. It's fast. Everything installs properly, and no problems with my NVIDIA drivers, no problems with Broadcom, no issues at all with my Realtek Wi-Fi. Everything installs really, really easily. Now, again, it's manually because you don't have a driver manager like you do in Ubuntu. So you have to install manually. But everything installs fine, no problems at all. And BattleNet works fine. Steam works fine. All my Steam games run no problem. And when I install Debian using either the OpenBox uh, window manager as doubling as a desktop environment, or if I install with LXDE, it is really fast. I really like using it just because it's so quick and responsive. Oh, so you're using Garth, you're using the unstable version of Debian. Have you had any issues with that? Because the last SID or unstable Debian install I did was the Seduction, that distribution Seduction, Siduction. Um, and I had some issues. It was just a little too unstable for me, so I got away from it. Yeah, Zeb, it could be just some type of something that was running that, because normally uh, Peppermint is on the low side, and they were very close. Yeah, Rose, if you're trying to install Linux alongside Windows, which I have, I've got basically three different operating systems on this machine. I've got a Hackintosh running Mac El Capitan. I've got Windows on another SSD, and I've got my Linux distributions on another SSD. So when I installed um, Archlabs to my SSD, it automatically picked up Windows on the other SSD. So, in other words, after I did the install and I told Archlabs to use the whole disk, my whole disk, because I was starting from scratch on that Linux SSD. So, when I told Archlabs that it could use my entire disk, it basically set it up automatically. So when I booted to the Archlabs grub screen, my Windows install was already listed there. I didn't really have to do anything unusual. So if you install uh, Ubuntu Mate and you tell Mate to use that entire 120 gig hard drive, more than likely it's going to pick up your Windows install. And when you reboot, it'll boot to the Mate grub screen and Windows will be listed there as one of your boot selections. And yeah, and then if that doesn't work for you, then you can use Grub Customizer. But for mine, it just automatically did it. I don't know how the rest of you guys feel. If you've installed Ubuntu onto a separate hard drive alongside Windows, did it automatically configure itself properly, or did you have to actually manually configure Windows into your grub? Well, Rose, you have a lot of help at your disposal. So if you, lots of people in this chat are on my, they pop in and comment on my videos, but they're all available to you. They'll help you very happily, give you whatever advice that you need. Yeah. So so Rose, it looks like if you just follow my directions, just install, boot up your Ubuntu Mate USB, select that hard drive that you have dedicated for your Linux, tell it to use the whole hard drive, let it go through the installation process, and then when you reboot, that grub screen should pop up uh, showing Windows as a boot selection. Yeah, there are a few other distributions that do the same thing. They absolutely have to control the boot process. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap up the live stream. I've got a couple things to do medically related, so I got to get ready for that and a couple of errands to run. So I will catch you guys a little bit later. I'll probably do another live stream around the same time tomorrow, and I've got another couple of videos planned. So I hope you guys are having a good day. The weather's nice here. I'll probably take the dog for a walk later. But yeah, so guys, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate your input in the chat, and I'll see you again soon. As I said, I'll probably do another live stream tomorrow. So guys, that's it. Thanks for stopping by. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you soon. Take care.